Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a January transfer move to Arsenal. And not in the usual studio today, out and about on the road. But listen, we always bring you Transfer Daily, no matter where we are, and we are here with it today. Now, first of all, let's get into the transfer rumours for today. Arsenal today being linked with a host of young, talented players. First one, and this is the first time I've heard of this guy in this transfer window, is Dani Ceballos, or Ceballos. He's only 19 years of age. He plays currently for Real Betis. He's a midfielder. I bet you could have guessed that. We're always linked to midfielders. But he's a talented kid, this guy. He starred in the Spanish under-19 team that won the Euro under-19s recently. He's also been, a fairly regular starter for Real Betis, starting 10 times this season, coming off the bench about 7 times as well. As I said, 19-year-old midfielder, very, very talented. A lot of clubs are looking at him at the moment. And Arsene Wenger, as we know, he always says, I'm only looking at and interested in players that have got exceptional talent. And also at the moment being linked with this guy. Again, listen, the midfield area is a area at the moment where Arsene Wenger's obviously looking at it and thinking about the future, because, we all know that come the summer, Thomas Rosicky, Matthew Flamini, Mikel Arteta, those three are going to be moving on. Their contracts are going to come to an end. They're not going to get renewed. I very much doubt it anyway. So those three are going to be moving on. So Arsene Wenger's got to be looking at new midfield targets, and hence the reason why at the moment we're getting linked with lots and lots of midfielders, including this next guy who we've spoken about a lot of times already in the transfer window. For me, he's got the best name of any player we've been linked with, and that is Granit Xhaka. That is a heavy name. I love that name. Borussia Mönchengladbach midfielder. We've spoken about this guy before. I mean, there was the claims last week from the president of Borussia Mönchengladbach that they want £37 million for him. Absolutely ridiculous. They wouldn't get nowhere near that. But he is a top prospect. He is being labelled the new Bastian Schweinsteiger. Everyone's got to have their label, the new. So he's the new Schweinsteiger. I hope it's if it is the new Schweinsteiger, I hope it's the old Schweinsteiger and not the new Schweinsteiger that is around about at the moment at Manchester United. But listen, on a serious note, he's a top prospect. Arsenal, again, if at all going to move for this guy, I think it will more be a summer move. Borussia Mönchengladbach seem to be talking it up like they'd be interested in cashing in on him. There's quite a few clubs interested in him. We hear that Chelsea are interested in him. We hear that Bayern Munich are very interested in him. Again, I don't think this is going to be a January move, but his name keeps popping up practically every day in this transfer window. Another name that keeps propping up. Now, I thought that this one was done, and well, not even thought. It is. It's dead. It's done and dusted. But every day it still keeps popping up again today. That's Pierre Aubameyang again. He's been linked with a move to Arsenal. Being told today in the Metro that Dortmund are willing to sell him for £53.4 million. And I got to thinking, I was thinking to myself, you know what? He's a very exciting striker, very talented striker. But is he worth £53 million? I mean, I know it's an inflated market. I know the price of players are going up, but £53 million for Aubameyang, even if he was available, would Arsenal pay that sort of money for him? Is he that good? I mean, fantastic record this season. Was it 24 goals in 23 games? Amazing record this season. But that is a heavy price for a guy that, would we say Aubameyang, is he world class yet? Is he on his way to being world class? I don't know. He probably is. I really do. It's hard to work this one out, but I don't think anyway. I think it's a bit ridiculous even going on about it at the moment, because I just don't think, despite what all the Newspapers keep coming with all these links. I really don't think he's going to be available at all in January, and it's very doubtful even that he'll be available in the summer unless it's a ridiculous offer. This guy here is interesting. Rafael Guerreiro is a Portuguese international, plays for Lorient, a left back and 22 years of age. Also been scouting this guy quite a lot. Since last season, they've been scouting him. Haven't moved for him yet, but rumours again abound today that this is another one of those young, talented midfield players. Young, talented players that Arsenal are looking at. Wouldn't be that expensive. He's coming from Lorient, who, of course, a French team, the same team where Laurent Koscielny came from. And Arsenal being linked with him today on the Koscielny thing is very interesting to read some of the things that Laurent Koscielny was saying yesterday about he's had offers before to move to very big clubs like Bayern Munich, etc. But he said that he's looked at what's happened to Fabregas. He's looked at what's happened to players like Adebayo and thought to himself, nah, I'm staying here at Arsenal. It's a big club. I don't need to move these clubs. It's all about being happy where you are. And, you know, Laurent Koscielny has really become a favourite of all the Arsenal fans. So that was very interesting to read that yesterday. Morata, who we were linked with yesterday and we've been linked with throughout the window. Juventus have come out today quite publicly and said, listen, we're not selling Alvaro Morata. We're not selling him to Real Madrid because there's been massive rumours that Madrid, with this transfer embargo that's coming in, might swoop to try and get him. They said, we're not selling him to Madrid and we're not selling to anyone else either. So there has been rumours that Arsenal taking a long, hard look at him. He'd be about 25 to 30 million pounds. He is one of the top prospects. Can you call him a prospect? Yeah, he's still a prospect really, because he still hasn't reached his potential yet, I don't think. But Juventus have come out quite strongly and said, listen, he is not going anywhere. So I think we can forget about all the Morata links. And another striker, interestingly, as we're talking about prices of strikers, as I just said, a striker that we were linked with heavily throughout the summer. He's been linked heavily with Chelsea as well, Manchester United. He's been linked with all the top clubs across Europe, being told that if we wanted Arsenal to try and move for Gonzalo Higuain, who's been banging in the goals, 20 goals in 20 Serie A games this season. That is very impressive for the 28-year-old Argentinian striker. If we want him, Napoli are saying that the release clause in his contract is £72 million. Wow, £72 million. You see, this is the thing. When you hear Arsene Wenger saying that, you know, strikers that are available, he's used that word quite a lot recently. He's like, you know, I've had a look around at strikers that are available, and I've got Danny Welbeck coming back from injury, and I don't see anybody around that's available that's any better or that's better than Danny Welbeck. You can understand what he's saying. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Higuain is a world-class striker. He's got a record consistent throughout his career where he always scores lots and lots of goals. So he should be at the top end. But a £72 million release clause, 50-odd million for Aubameyang. I think, listen, strikers are going to be very, very expensive players. And I think what clubs like Arsenal are going to have to start doing, getting very creative with spotting up-and-coming strikers very early and getting them into the club. Because if you're a striker, you score like 20 goals, your price goes absolutely through the roof at the moment. And that's just two examples of it right there. Let's get into a couple of your comments. Kaiser Soze says, I don't think I've ever seen Robbie so pissed off at a player. I'm going on them like that he did in the Arsenal Fan TV video. That was a video yesterday where I had a little bit of a rant about Matthew Debuchy. He said, to be honest, Debuchy wasn't a long-term signing anyway. He was only signed to fill a void until Jenkinson and Bellerin developed into players good enough to play for the first team. And since Bellerin and Jenkinson are playing like top Premier League right-backs right now, Debuchy has served his purpose and he can pee off, this guy says. Carlos Bishop said, we should get Opar, Angel, Rangel, or a bit more money, go for Coleman or Janmaat. Janmaat is a player that interests me, actually. I think he's a very good right back, Janmaat, who plays for Newcastle. I think the Newcastle fans would be too happy to see us coming back in to nick another one of their right backs. But Janmaat is not a bad player at all. True Gooner says, I've wasted 6 months at Arsenal. That's the quote that he's taking from what Debuchy says. You know, you did play for Newcastle for a while, right? And then he says, I hate players who can't compete. And he said he's just showing his true colours. I'm glad we're clearing out that clown. And he's not upper crust competition. He said, just think of getting rid of him now, leaves us short of fullbacks. We should sell him in the summer so that we can replace him. But if you've got an unhappy guy in the camp like Debuchy is, I think, you know, at first I was thinking we should keep him, but now I'm starting to think that, you know, we'd be better off to just move him out. Sorry, Hell's Fox is here, says, Robbie, you contradict yourself. Debuchy said the reason he didn't leave in the summer is because he was specifically told he would get more game time and a chance. If that's true, and the reason he didn't move elsewhere, and that's the reason he didn't move elsewhere, of course he'll feel let down. All things considered, that's an unfair promise to be made for him. Now, listen, a manager can promise you that you're going to get more game time, but you still got to earn it. You can't be useless. I remember when he came on in the game against Dynamo Zagreb, he was absolutely horrific. He was the poorest player on the pitch that night. He's had games, every time he's came in this season, he's been very, very poor. Bellerin has been exceptional. He's not earned himself a position in the team. You know, he's a senior player, and I'm sure if he'd have been playing at a top level, he would have been getting in front of Bellerin. But he's just not earned his position. Yeah, you're going to get more game time, but you've got to earn it. And I want a manager that's going to be strong enough to say, no matter who the player is, you know what, you're not playing well enough. This other guy is playing better than you. You're dropped. And that's what he's done. And I'm sorry, Debuchy, you know what, when you were injured, you're still getting paid your full wages. Remember that. The club still stands by you. The club doesn't say, oh, you know what, he's injured now, let's sell him. They stand by you. So you've got to have a bit of loyalty back as well. And that's my problem with Debuchy here. And even if you are going to leave, and even if you are a bit unhappy, just keep it quiet and move with a bit of dignity and respect. Move on to the next club. Say, you know what, Bellerin came in, I couldn't get into the team. You know, I need game time ahead of the Euros, so I moved on. Just say that. Why you got to keep coming out with all this rubbish for? You know, for me, you haven't been good enough this season. Accept it. You haven't been as good as Bellerin, and that is why you're in the team. Simple. No other reason. You just have not been good enough. And let me just get into one last one here. I think this guy's a Chelsea fan. He says, it's actually Wenger's fault. Debuchy was never good enough for Arsenal, a poor quality signing, and he thinks that's the reason why he's not in the team. Listen, he was a good signing. I thought when we made the signing, he was a decent enough signing. It just hasn't worked out, as simple as that. And a lot of that has not been Debuchy's fault. A lot of that is because he's been very unlucky with injuries. And when he's come back, a guy's stepped up to the plate who's better than him, and he can't get in the team. Unfortunately, that's football, that's sport, it happens. Just the way it is. Thanks for watching AFTV Transfer Daily today. Don't forget to go and check out all of our videos on Arsenal Fan TV. We'll be back around about the same time tomorrow with more AFTV transfer rumours.